welcome back to episode fuck knows what, to be honest. 10, 11. I might be overshooting a little bit. Back to GNS. We've got a special guest today. We've got Matty, who is one of the clients in the academy. I think he gets coached by Jack. Okay, so hit us off. How has your week been so far?
It's been a pretty good week, to be fair. I'm down £2, so not too bad. Uni work has been skyrocketing. I've got loads of uni deadlines, so that's not ideal. But I have had, in the last 2 weeks, I suppose that's the last 2 weeks, not this week. Nice one, Matthew. But I've had my clients, I had like 2 more client console calls, and they've all gone well, and I'm getting 2 more clients. I've got another one tomorrow as well, so not too bad. What about you?
Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of weeks, to say the least. A lot of things going on background in terms of my lifting career. I recently found out that I have a QL imbalance. It's known as QL syndrome. QL is one of the muscles. It's a deep partial spinal erectors. It attaches onto your 12th rib in your lower back and onto your iliac crest at the top of your pelvis. Now, I found that I was unable to contract my left QL, and my right QL was massively fatigued, meaning that this entire time I thought I had scoliosis, which wasn't really the case. I just couldn't contract my left QL, so I was fucking wonky like this. Yeah, which is interesting because obviously I'm an osteo, and you'd think like, I can apply all this knowledge to myself, which is just not the case. It's the main reason why people don't coach themselves. It's like me, like trying to diagnose myself as it's terrible. Anyway, so obviously I know how to rehab it, so I'm implementing some exercises. But there's something called a treatment reaction, which basically means either after treatment, like hands-on therapy, or after like rehab, especially in the very initial portion, your body is getting used to like the mechanics, certain muscles being contracted. We call it form and force closure of the pelvis. The force being the muscles, how they contract together to stabilize, and form being the shape of the pelvis itself, how it molds together in order to provide stability. I have had the worst back pain I have ever had over the past couple of days, including pins and needles into both of my legs. Simply because, well, ever since I've started lifting, I've had this QL imbalance, and I've never even fucking realized until, like 4 or 5 days ago. Ever since I started doing rehab, the wildest treatment reaction, like my psoas would be so fucked. I'd sit down for 5 minutes, get up, and I'd have to walk like this because I couldn't straighten out my torso. My hip flexor was fucking cooked. But yeah, we're getting there. At first I thought like, okay, like because of the pins and needles, I was like, fuck, like, is this disc? But it's unlikely because of the onset, how ever since I started implementing the rehab, that's when the symptoms came along. People think pins and needles automatically means disc. That's not the case. You can get pins and needles just from local inflammation. And there's also a condition called piriformis syndrome, which is a little muscle which your sciatic nerve actually runs under in most people, which can cause some sciatica or pins and needles down in the legs as well. So for those listening out there, if you have pins and needles in the legs, don't automatically assume that it's going to be disc. Some other symptoms I will look out for that would be more concerning. If it is bilateral, I would be more concerned. If it's accompanied by motor weakness, if you find that one side is weaker than the other, or / if you cannot contract specific muscles, very big fucking red flag. I would be quite concerned. But also if there's a change in presentation, so if it becomes more frequent, if it becomes more intense, or if it's constant and it wasn't before, so if there's a change, that's more concerning. But for me, it's kind of been intermittent. It comes and goes. When I'm sat down for longer periods and my psoas is contracted, I might get a bit of pins and needles, but it follows the same pattern. So I'm not too worried about it, but I'm still keeping an eye on it. Apart from that, same old, to be honest. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, same old. The big thing for this week has been I'm overhauling the academy, doing a lot of shit on the back end. To one, make it flow a little bit nicer, 2, be a little bit more useful. And yeah, just generally kind of, I'm completely redoing it on the back end. So I'm using, instead of using the current service that we use, I'm making it from scratch, which is fucking tedious, but yeah, much nicer. And I did a little bit of recording some stuff. To be fair, it's coming along quite nicely. Other than that, training, I got a little bit of bicep tendonitis, which is always fun. So just managing Yeah, I know, fun. So managing my way around
Fucking
that.
glass cannon.
I think I just need to become injured, guys, to complete the trio. To be honest.
Yeah, to be honest. Yeah. Welcome to life of bodybuilder, being held back by fucking injury. Again, which is why it's so important to have an injury specialist when the academy.
Jeez, marketing. Jeez.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like the most productive phases for me always come with like a little bit of cost, and I just have to be careful of like, you know, trying to stay on top of that cost so it doesn't get a little bit fucking silly. Or yeah, it's just one of those things where you can kind of try and prevent it as much as possible. To an extent, it will occur. But I mean, you know, in a weird way, I'm kind of almost like, oh, bicep tendonitis. Okay, my biceps must have been growing pretty decently then throughout this phase. But
No pain, no gain, and all that.
Yeah, exactly. But to be fair, having said that, like, it's super minor, it's very manageable, and I'm not really too stressed. If it does pick up, I'll just fucking slap Camille around the face and be like, sort my bicep out, and he will. So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah.
What's your week been like?
What did you say, sorry?
What's your week been like?
Oh, well, I said it at the start, to be fair, but I can say a bit more.
Well, you're the guest, bro. You can't just be like, you know.
No, it's all right. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
mint.
No. Well, we took a little like deload off the back half of last week because I got ill again. I was really ill the other week, and like I genuinely like it got to 10 o'clock, and you know them, you know, I'm starting to wind down, but you know them illnesses where you literally cannot breathe, and you try and go to sleep and you just literally cannot breathe. So I just stayed up and just fucking banged out uni work because, you know, I'm just a uni student. Well, that's what I do. I never do that. Anyway,
I felt that in my chest. Like,
yeah. No, well, you sit up thinking I should be doing uni work right now. Instead, I get on with form feedback and then I do uni work, which is, you know, I just prioritize clients a bit too highly, but you know, I'm just that good of a coach. No, it's been pretty tough with uni at the moment. I think I'm getting fed up. Camilla, you might feel this. I'm getting fed up with group work. Group work at uni has got to be top 10 worst things in your lifetime. Trying to get people organized who don't even know how to get up of bed past 12 o'clock is pretty difficult. You know, I've been there pretty hard. But it's not too bad. Like I think I've got a pretty good groups. I've got some good groups for my uni work, and they're actually doing the work. So you know, it's pretty good. I try to do my work the best I can. How I see it is like I've got a part-time job, and I'm doing coaching work, and I'm in a relationship, and I'm a pretty busy guy. I'm sure you can relate. You guys are probably busier than me, but you know, I'm a pretty busy guy. If I can do that, and some guy who's at uni who's woke up at 12 o'clock because he's been at partying all night and you know, he's got 6 hours doing his uni work, he just doesn't do it. If I can do it with all the stuff I've got going on, why can't he do that? You know, it does annoy me a bit.
I love how you mentioned the fact that you've got a girlfriend as part of your schedule.
It's a full-time. I've got 3 jobs, mate. It's a full-time job.
No. I'm saying 100% agree with you, mate. It's a good point to mention.
Yeah.
But like what you said about the group work, I truly do understand. You've always got that one bellend that doesn't even like reply in the group chats, and it's like, okay, are we just gonna do the work without him? Is he just gonna fail? Like fucking. But like with osteopathy, it's so, I wouldn't say different, but like it's not like the conventional going to uni because it's so practical as well. So I remember the very first lecture that I had. Jesus Christ, it's like 4 years ago now. Little 18-year-old Camille, fucking wronging. I was a wronging back in the day. Anyways, I come to the first lecture. I didn't really know what osteopathy was. I'd heard like, you know, like it's like to do with the body and stuff. I just thought it was like a glorified PT. I didn't actually know there was hands-on stuff. Like we get into this first lecture, I get piled up with Will, who Jack knows well is also an absolute bellend. And fucking like we were just chatting away. Immediately ended up hitting it off because he's from St. Albans and I'm from Harpenden, which is like a 5-minute drive away from each other, and we never knew each other before uni. So we're like, oh, who the fuck is this cunt? Oh no, you won't know where I live. Oh, I live in Harpenden. He's like, nah, fuck off. Like immediately just start chatting. Within like 5 minutes of the lecturer's like, oh no, like introduce yourselves, whatever. Okay, now let's get undressed. I was like, what? I was like, you must be joking. He was like, no, everybody getting dressed. Like within the first lecture, I was pants on the practice bed, getting fucking massage with oil. Yeah, there was no if, buts, or maybes. There was no like fucking consent. Like, it was crazy. And like, bearing in mind, yeah, I was freshly 18. I turned 18 in August, and this lecture was in September. Yeah, it was just so much for me to take in at the beginning. I remember just coming back from that lecture and just fucking starfishing on my bed, like, what the fuck have I actually just signed myself up for?
I was about to say, how do I sign up until you said freshly 18? I'm very glad I stopped. I'm very glad I didn't ask that question, to be honest.
Well, but like looking back at it now, I am really happy that I did pick osteopathy, because it's given me the background to, I guess, help people, not just from the coaching perspective, but also from the injury side of things. And it's like, yeah, you could have done physio, and like, yeah, but there's also so many physios already about, and like, osteopaths have a different ideology that I think is more applicable to day-to-day life rather than physios. But yeah, fucking interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I was originally going to go down the sports rehab route. I know it's not like exactly the same, but like I was going to go down. I wanted to be a physiotherapist, actually. Then I kind of just some stuff happened regarding personal life, and I was like, right, well, I've got a little less time now. What am I also interested in? I was like, right, I'm interested in a lot of physics, and I'm also interested in human analysis and like physiology. So I was like, right, what fits perfectly? Probably sports science. And I thought I made the complete wrong decision in the first couple of lectures, because when you go to the lectures and it's just all about introduction stuff and you're talking about really easy stuff.
Yeah.
But first year it's kind of a bit of a write-off. It's pretty easy, but they started talking about concepts. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty interesting. This is kind of like where I got my background into coaching, to be fair. We were going to biomechanics lectures, and I was learning about shoulder flexion and all this, all just normal stuff we use on a day-to-day basis now. But when we were talking about torque and levers, and I was like, wow, this stuff's pretty interesting. And then I found myself being that little nerd asking after lecture, and I'd be like, so how does it actually apply to real life? Could you show me a movement and how much torque, stuff about torque and stuff like that. Luckily I had this really good lecturer. I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop him, but anyway, I had this good lecturer. And he was sometimes show me after class, like through like these gym equipment kind of things. When we were in the gym, he'd show me like, how does this, what was I trying to say? He'd show me biomechanics, like application through gym equipment. And it was really, really interesting. I was like, wow, well, I'm starting to get in the gym. Let's actually apply this to my training. And that's where, boom, the progress pathway was created. It wasn't created at that moment, but
How long have you been training for then?
I'd say about 4 years. I started in my garage, in my dad's garage, as we all do. Camille knows. I wasn't as bad as you in terms of I wasn't full benching plates shouting with my friends. I almost said homeboys then. What is wrong with me? My friends, but I will name drop him, Harvey, and it was Harvey originally, who was one of my clients. Me and Harvey got on like a hell on fire. I actually saw him today. And we used to go every day most of the time. Well, about 6 days of the week, we'd go in our little dad's garage, grunt for an hour and a half. I'm not going to give any context there. Grunt for an hour and a half and come out feeling the best we ever felt in our lives. We wouldn't have good nutrition. Fuck that. Who needs protein? Eat what my mum gave me. Made some decent gains. I was like, fuck, I'm getting a bit addicted to this. So that was about the time I entered uni as well. Then I started applying the biomechanics knowledge, and I was like, right, I should actually kind of, research some stuff about nutrition, because I'm kind of fucked after every single session now, and I'm not recovering. Combined with poor sleep from staying up on my games till about 6 a.m. It's not ideal. And then I kind of jumped on board with Luke, lactic addict Luke. Oh my God, I almost said the wrong thing then. I always say lactic acid Luke. Jumped on with him, and then jumped on with, I made some very good progress. And then when I heard about the Archer Academy, here's some marketing for you. I was like, right, look at the Archer Academy. That looks really good. Let's get to know this Jackie boy. I don't know why I said that. And then we are here today, and I'm the smallest I've ever been, because he doesn't get me any gains.
Jack, what are you doing, man?
What are you doing?
You're such a horrible person.
That's my testimonial. Just clip that.
Yeah, exactly.
Just put it on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve his little price increase he's doing right now. By the way, I noticed that the other day.
It's true. Yeah, I was looking at my Lambo and I was like, I need another one. So, you know,
It's going up to what, 500 quid a month?
now I had like 3, 4, 5 grand a minute.
Oh, those are Dubai prices.
Yeah, to buy it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You pay for every word he texts you. Actually, that's how that works.
yeah, pay per word.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
bio is going to be like, I
Grand
help.
for a
Busy,
thumbs up.
yeah, my bio will be like, I help busy millionaires. And more,
Oh, you sound like them absolute twats. You know the ones you were ranting about the other day. The lifestyle coaches that actually just absolutely extort people.
Yeah. Oh, it just pisses me off so much. They'll use like AI to just fucking automate everything. They literally get a bunch of followers on Instagram and they just make some really flashy fucking thing. They're like, I can get you to 10K per month, like in a fucking Lambo that's rented. It just fucking boils my blood. It boils my blood.
Well, I
It's
start
like,
doing that. Oh wait, no, sorry, you go.
yeah, it was. I remember having this conversation with Jack a couple of weeks ago, and it's like the more and more knowledgeable I get as a coach, the more and more annoyed I get scrolling through my Instagram. I'll see people just chatting absolute shit, and like sometimes I'll even comment, and it's just like, and it's not pleasant. I'm not gonna lie, it's not pleasant. You can tell how much fucking I'm a little keyboard warrior that's fucking texted through my phone. It's like, you fucking idiot. Like that's why it's easy to be a good coach, but it's hard to be a great coach because there's a lot of good knowledge out there that's generally applicable to a lot of people, but like there's also a lot of niche knowledge that you need to know that's specific to every individual because not every single person is going to be the same. And it's like we always say this on this podcast, but it's like if you coach people the exact same, or if you have the exact same template for training, for nutrition, you know, for whatever, then you're doing it completely wrong. What might work for one person isn't necessarily going to work for another. And it's that ability to mold to your client rather than the client molding to you is what's going to net you the best results. You know, I've got some clients, I'll give a prime example. So I've got some clients who are on a fat loss phase right now. Some of them really fucking enjoy doing steps, but don't enjoy doing cardio. So, okay, so we're going to prioritize getting steps in. Some of them really fucking enjoy doing cardio and don't really like doing steps. Okay, so we're going to prioritize cardio. And it's like, you know, if you don't, it's a very basic example, but if you don't apply that to someone who's in the cut, fuck me, can it make such a drastic difference? You are already fatigued, tired, you already hate yourself. If you're making them do something that you know that they don't enjoy doing, and you can get the exact same fucking effect out of doing something else, they're obviously going to get burnt out quicker. They're obviously going to hit a stall, and then you're not going to get the result that you want in order to get, you know, more clients. And then you fucking join the academy like a bellend. Pretty good marketing now, but
yeah, I was actually going to ask. Like, I know I'm the podcast E, if you will, but like, I was going to ask a question to you guys. What do you guys? I've got one. I can say mine first, but like, what do you think is the most underrated thing or variable when it comes to you know, making progress? It doesn't even need to be fat loss or bulking, because I've got one that I always talk about: practicality. That is the biggest one for me. Because what the fuck is the point of having the perfect plan, which probably doesn't exist? Jack talks about it all the time, doesn't exist. For everyone. Even if you had the most, like, if you had a robot, you were coaching a robot, right? That had emotion. Oh, I suppose we're not coaching a robot then. But when you're coaching a robot, you're giving the perfect plan, you know, they carry that out. But if they have niches, if they're like, you know, I like this exercise over this exercise, but it's not optimal or practical for them, what the fuck is the point? Like, they're not going to want to walk in, especially if you're trying to get someone like passionate about what they do, because it's so easy to make progress when you're passionate. That's also a very underrated thing. So easy to make progress when you're passionate. But like, if something's not practical, like, I'm a uni student, this is why I probably get a lot of uni students come to me. I've made it work. You know, I've got all this shit going on in my life. Jack makes my stuff practical, but like, if I wasn't with Jack, I'd make my sessions very practical to me. You know, I wouldn't be having, you know, 6 exercises per muscle group, you know, hitting all the different heads of whatever. I would just be doing stuff that gets the most bang for my buck, or the exercises that get the most bang for the buck, and using stuff like drop sets and stuff like that. Fuck what Paul Carter says and says drop sets aren't good. Fuck off. They are. Just, it pisses me off so much. Sorry, it just fucking pisses me off. Like stuff
Get it
like
all out now. This is a
No,
safe space.
rest.
This podcast.
Screaming to the back. When anyone says a real blanket statement like that, I just don't get it. That there is billions of people on this earth. How is one thing going to be applicable to everyone? I just don't understand it. I hope you guys agree. Or maybe I'm just waffling, but that
No, I
like
agree,
it just
100%.
yeah, like you were saying when you scroll through the Instagram stuff, I find it hard to know. I'm not as knowledgeable as you about like rehab and stuff like that. You see a rehab knowledge, a rehab reel, and it's chatting absolute bullshit. I'm sure you can absolute rip them to shreds. It's so easy to comment. Like even on someone like Luke hates him, Paul Carter. He's funny. I'm just going to use an example. But like when he says like 5, there's no reason you should go over this many amount of reps. It's like there are reasons. There are reasons. I get it from a scientific standpoint, but there are reasons why you should go above them reps. Even for someone like I wouldn't give someone 5 reps on a lateral raise if they don't even know how to fucking perform a lateral raise. I understand that's not what he's saying in the video, but I like it putting some information in front of you, putting limited, no context on the reel, saying you should never go over 5 reps. That's not what I'm saying he's put, but like you should never go over 5 reps, and then not giving context, and then expecting people not to comment. Oh, but like this and this and this is just plain stupid. And that's what everyone does nowadays. They just don't give any context to the situations. They just want to do clickbait and then get annoyed at people in the comments. And like a prime example, Paul Carter, he just blocks people when they ask. He's like, use Google. If they respond again, block. It's like a robot. It's like a fucking pre-done algorithm. Like, anyway, I'll stop yapping now. That's my
block everyone that's fucking chatting shit in the comment section.
Facts.
Yeah, Paul's got Luke blocked at the minute, which is very fun because if I want to share something stupid that he's done, I have to screen record it to send it to Luke, which is great.
That's funny.
But I watched there have been Instagram reels made on Paul being like speed running, getting blocked by Paul Carter. You can get it done in like about 5 minutes. It's quite impressive.
I've seen it. It's so funny.
Yeah, impressive shit, man. Impressive shit. Camille, what boils your piss about the industry?
Well, if there was one thing that I would say is super, 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 super important, is obviously rehab. But the other thing, because I talk about that all the time, I think is psychology. Like understanding client psychology, and as an athlete, understanding your own psychology is super fucking important. As bodybuilders and as competitive bodybuilders, specifically going through prep, you will be just as much mentally challenged as you will be physically challenged. Matt, I'm sure you understand that because you're going through a significant cut right now. When I was going through my prep, I hated the way I looked. I literally send Jack my physique shots and I delete them straight away. I wouldn't even look at them. The only fucking time that I enjoy the way I look is when I had a pump and probably a significant amount of carbs pre-workout and probably a pump formula as well, which is about 1% of the time. And it's like you need to develop your why as an athlete in order to allow you to take yourself to those places and get what you want out of it. What really blew my fucking mind when I was reflecting after my prep, I was like, bodybuilders prep professionally. Like bodybuilders go through prep to make money. Like that is a different level of why. Like to do something like that, something that I literally was crawling on my hands and knees to get through. They do that professionally. I was like, there are fucking levels to this game. And, there's a certain element of every single prep, you get a little bit better and better. You understand your body a lot more. You know what to do and what not to do. Your certain cues that might drive hunger and cause you to have cravings, etc. But the fact that just prepping in general, like the normal human average individual will not truly understand what going through prep is. People think being shredded is just having abs. Big man, I had abs at 87 kilos. I dropped another 10 kilos from that. Like, where do you think that fucking 10 kilos came from? Like, people do not fucking understand what it takes to have striated glutes. Jesus Christ. Like, that's one thing. And another interesting thing that I've recently been talking about is like your psychology, like within an actual set as well. So like a lot of people will be quite vocal when they train. Some people will go dead silent, whatever fucking floats your boat, right? I'm actually a bit of both. Most of the time I'm screaming like an absolute baboon, but sometimes when I'm really fucking locked in, I'm just like, fucking blank face staring at something and just completely locked in. And it's like you need to have that mentality when you train. You need to be able to have that aggression, but also have that level of focus, and in order to get what you need to get out of those sets. And a really interesting thing is like, I remember like spotting someone and being like, most of the time I don't actually touch the weight. I literally just put my hand there and they finish the rep by themselves. Would they have finished the rep with if I hadn't touched it? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact that my hand is just resting there is enough to stimulate them, being like, oh, like he's helping me, I'm gonna get this rep up, etc., etc. And it's like that's very much fucking placebo. Placebo is directly linked to getting more gains. If you understand that and you weaponize it, that gives you an edge over other bodybuilders, which is the whole thing about the sport. Is like you need to do what everyone else does and more. That's how you beat people. Apart from genetics aside, how do you beat people on stage? By fucking outworking them. And if we can weaponize using the placebo in order to get a little bit more out of what you're already fucking doing, that should very much be a fucking forefront. Yeah. What about you, Jack?
My biggest boo-boo in the industry is, I don't really know the word for it, but probably like half knowledge, or like kind of the danger of like vaguely knowing something.
TikTok weapons. That's what I call
Yeah,
it.
kind of like what I mean is
Broccoli
like,
heads.
I was
Sorry,
talking-
Matt.
I got mullet. It doesn't count. Sorry.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm kind of the same. I've got like curly hair on top, so I've been called a broccoli head many a time, so ideal. But
Give it 3 years.
I was talking to Richie about this, where we were talking about like a seated versus a standing calf raise, and someone was like, "Oh, why are you running a seated calf raise, bro? It's not as lengthened as the standing." And I was like, "Okay, well, you're correct that it's not as lengthened as the standing, but for one part of the calf, the gastroc, cool. You're correct in that regard. But in all other ways, there are so many other things that like a seated calf raise does that a standing calf raise doesn't. And like for a lot of people, just easier to balance. There's a lot of knee and ankle health benefits to training your calves in not just always extension of the knee. For me, I find that ankle pain is vastly reduced because that load is so much lower. With a seated calf raise, like connection is much better. It feels much nicer. Again, stability. Sometimes on a standing calf raise, if I set up wrong, I can kind of get a bit of like a glute pump almost, like they kind of hold a bit of an isometric. It's quite weird, or like a lower back ache. And again, just like even just convenience or just benefits to the ankle or to the calf not constantly being trained super duper lengthened. And it's only going to affect the gastroc. That's not your entire calf. And so again, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you understand one concept and you've said, because this thing is something that I know, I'm going to apply it to everything. And it's like, there's just not always the need. It's like I had someone comment on my lateral raise where they were like, hey, bring the cable up to hip height. And I was like, I will. But not now. I do 3 sets. I do the first set of the selector at the bottom, second set halfway between the bottom and hip height, third set at hip height. I'm deliberately varying that resistance profile. And that's because for me, starting off with a lateral that is a bit more contraction focused tends to keep my shoulders a little bit happier. I'm still progressing it great. They're still growing fantastic. But if I do 3 sets super lengthened, it does trash my kind of shoulder joint a little bit. And again, it's like, that's where you understand one concept. I guess it's usually lengthened stuff, but you kind of find it in other things. But people understand this one concept, they apply it, and they go, yeah, you're wrong because you're not doing this thing. And it's like, well, there are other benefits beyond just always aiming for that. Like if I wanted the benefits of aiming for that, I would, but that doesn't mean that just because there's benefits in this aspect, that there's necessarily no drawbacks to it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is people vaguely learn a concept and then just kind of universally apply it, and then they'll be like, you're wrong and you're stupid for doing anything else. And then you sit them down and you go, no, let me teach you more about what we're doing and maybe about how there is more nuance. And then they're like, oh shit. But yeah, that's my
people tend to like idealize like certain things. So like I'll give a good example. It's like Dr. Mike Israel. I know a lot of my clients will literally just believe every single thing he has to say.
Yeah.
Which like fair enough. Like some of the things he says I do agree with, but just because he says something that you might agree with one time doesn't mean that automatically means that everything he says is going to be right. if you don't have the ability to actively question everything that you see online and to justify it, then it's probably not valid enough to actually believe and apply to everyone. You always need to know why. So it's like, why is this applicable to this population? Why is this better than, you know, X, Y, and Z? If you then understand that, you know, and have a little bit of background knowledge, like Jack said, then you can actually apply that principle. But if you just heard, oh yeah, like for bodybuilders, you need to train 8 to 12 reps because Dr. Mike Israel said it, or like fucking the best bicep exercise is the fucking decline dumbbell fucking whatever the fuck you were doing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So if you just randomly start programming that for your clients without actually justifying that, okay, why are we actually programming this exercise and why are we programming this instead of something else? If you're not able to answer that, then why the fuck are you doing it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to fuck it up for no reason. And there's a certain element of, you know, we always say you need to understand things to the greatest effect, but there is also a certain element of like just keeping it basic. Like, if you're not an advanced level coach, don't try and apply advanced level principles that you just don't know. There's nothing wrong with sticking with things that are comfortable to you, you know, are effective and you know fucking work. Like, coaching 10 years ago wasn't fucking, oh yeah, we're going to do my rep partials. It was like tick boxes. Are you getting your food in? Are you hitting protein? Are you eating carbs pre-workout? Are you training hard? Yeah, cool. Fucking mint. Go again next week. Over the years, we become more and more knowledgeable. Cool. But that doesn't mean what we were doing before was outdated. You can still stick to the fucking principles and get fantastic results with your clients as long as everything is done to the book and is justified and you understand everything and your client understands everything you're doing. I don't understand this whole thing of like shying away from the basics and everyone needs to know like the perfect way of, you know, doing everything. It's like nothing is ever going to be perfect. I'm sure you can all understand, like when you first get a client, the first program you make for them is going to be the worst one. The first meal plan you make for them is going to be the first one. Why? Because the longer you're with a client, the more data you build on them, which then allows you to coach them better. So don't always strive to be like, I'm going to fucking give you the best program to grow your arms from the beginning, because you simply don't know. You don't have enough data to be like, they're definitely going to grow from an overhead fucking extension more than they are from a JM press. You don't know that. You don't know that because everyone's fucking individual. So stop worrying about perfection and focus more on doing the basics, but doing them really fucking well.
Yeah, exactly. Going off the back of what you two said, I was going to say, like, probably the worst people on social media really are then people who will take exactly what Jack said. Then people will take something that they mildly know and then apply it to everything. They're the people who comment on people's things, you know, comment on people's videos and say certain things. What makes them even worse is when you give them an explanation like Jack said, they won't even, you know, take it in. They'll just go, right, well, that's just wrong because I heard Paul Carr, I heard whatever say this. What I really like, or what I try and teach my clients quite a lot, always, even when you're watching videos or, you know, you're talking to me, always ask why, right? There's always a reason why something should be happening. And if you can't give that reason, or that person on social media can't give that reason, you probably shouldn't be talking about it. Like I've got a client called Matt, and I've taught him basically. Well, I haven't taught him, but I've kind of just like implicitly said, always question me why on like my plan. When I was making his plan, he wanted to learn more. You know, actually, when I first onboarded him, he literally the reason he wanted to jump on with me is because when he asked me a simple question of how do I lose this weight in this time, like he was kind of just asking about general weight loss. I said, do you want me to go a bit in further detail? After I gave him a general response, he went, do you want me to go a bit further in detail? I ended up sending him like a 40-minute Loom video just explaining everything. And he's very inquisitive. He really likes the science behind stuff. I love it when he asks me questions. It gets me to display my knowledge. And also he can, he's a more knowledgeable client now. He can apply this to his own training, which is really cool to see. I mean, obviously I'm there to help him through his own training and stuff like that, but I don't see how becoming a more knowledgeable person is ever a bad thing, right? You should always, especially just for people who aren't even being coached, you should always ask why, right? If you're listening to this information, why are they actually spewing that information? Why do we always want to train in length? And not say we do, but when someone goes, oh, you know, you should do all your exercise in length, and that's where all the growth happens. That's where we're strongest. It's like, well, why do we want to do that? Everything. Why should we not do a couple of these exercises in the short? And you know, why are my joints fucking trapped from training everything in length? And like, you know, that's my 2 penny worth on that. But yeah,
100%. And it's like, I feel like even high level coaches make these mistakes, right? I wouldn't necessarily classify myself as a high level coach, but like I'll give a prime example of something that I saw the other day. I remember Josh Bridgman doing a post and him being like, "Oh, in order to lose more fat, you need to reset your metabolism, so you need to gain weight."
I saw that.
Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Yeah, and that got me thinking. I didn't really understand the topic that well, and I was like, okay, well, what he's making makes sense. It is George Bridgman. He's a fucking boy. You know, I respect what he says, etc. So then I had a conversation with my client, and I was kind of explaining to him like, oh, like I had I was explaining the situation to Jack, where it's like I had a client who I was scared I'm going to have to drop below 1,000 calories in terms of because he was cutting and he wasn't getting the fat loss that he kind of needed. His cardio was already in a really high place. We're like, okay, we're going to have to drop his calories below 1,000 calories. And I was like, is that really healthy? I don't really want to drop any sort of client below 1,000 calories. I don't think it was that healthy, to be honest. And I said that to my client. And then a couple of days later, I went to Jack with it and I told him the whole situation. Basically, I said, this is what's happening. I saw this thing about Josh Bridgman. I was like, do I push him up for a little bit, reset his metabolism, and then bring him back down, etc., etc. So then Jack pretty much told me an absolute idiot for believing everything that I see online. And he said, I'm a dickhead. But he basically explained, it's like, is this client in a place where you can drop his food? I was like, yeah. He was like, is he struggling with hunger? I was like, nah, not really. He's like, does he have like a ridiculous amount of muscle mass for him to worry not for going below 1,000 calories? I was like, nah, not really. He's big, but he's not like fucking massive bodybuilder. He was like, well, why would you shy away from dropping him below 1,000 calories? And I was like, I don't know, because it's not healthy. And he was like, well, that's like saying, you know, what's healthy for a person that's 65 kilos, 5'8" isn't going to be what's healthy for a bloke that's 6'3", 120 fucking kilos. Obviously, the whole like dropping him below 1,000 calories doesn't necessarily indicate, you know, it's healthy or not. It's the amount of time that you hold them in that phase. You know, if I drop him for 1,000 calories for 4 to 5 weeks and then bring him back up after he's done with his cut, he's going to be any marginal like health like risk or anything like that. And it's like, this is why you need to have someone in your corner in order to basically question, or not question, but you question yourself and the things that you read online, so you can always double check. It's like even stuff with Jack, he'll message me stuff about like rehab. And the other day he asked me like, oh, what's this thing going about eccentric loading being like bad for tendons and stuff like that. So it's like we're constantly reinforcing our own knowledge by asking questions. And there's a massive stigma going on about like, you don't want to be disproved. It's like when you get to a certain level of knowledge, like you want to be proved wrong. You know what I mean? Because that then reinforces how much you already know. Like I'm sure Jack is rarely disproven because he's a fucking knowledgeable little cunt. But like the times that he is, he's probably sitting there fucking twirling his fingers like, oh shit, like I didn't realize that. That's a really interesting point. So it's like, yeah, you don't ever shy away from being disproven. Like be confident about what you know, but when you truly listen to someone else and if their point disproves yours, like take that on board. Like it's a win-win. You're either confident in something that you know that is true or applicable, or you get disproven and now you know more, so the next time you're going to be more knowledgeable. Like yeah,
I think there's a weird stigma around knowledge and camps and kind of doing things. People get weird about it. Like people feel like I don't know, people tend to coach a certain way or kind of be scared of more knowledge or kind of put themselves on a plinth for having knowledge, but then again are afraid to kind of say things like Camille said there, like embrace the basics, or like, you know, you don't need to treat everyone like they need high level stuff. Honestly, coaching just comes down to like, you should know all these things, you should have all of this available to you, and you just pick what works best for the client. And there are times for it to be fucking simple, like stupidly simple. There are times for it to appear simple and be incredibly complex, and there's times for it to be incredibly complex and appear incredibly complex. But that doesn't mean that like just because you have a higher level of knowledge doesn't mean that you should shy away from giving people like basic fundamental plans if there's need for it. It all comes down to like, can you justify it? You know, just because it's like just because you're a chef or a Michelin star chef doesn't mean you still can't make beans on toast. Like sometimes that works just fine. So I think that there's this weird thing about coaches, and coaches again, like you kind of said as well, Camille, like people get scared of being wrong or like kind of having gaps in knowledge. And it's like, I very publicly brought on Camille because Camille knows fucking more than me about injury rehab and prevention. And that's why he's here. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, I know more than Camille, because that's bullshit. It's not real. Like, do I want to know as much as Camille? Yes. That's why I've got him here. That's why I ask him questions. That's why I refer clients to him. That's what his value is. And like, that's the thing, is that I think people are kind of scared of talking about that. And it's like, there's more merit, in my opinion, saying I don't know enough about that. Because then if I say, hey, I don't know enough about injury rehab and prevention as Camille, I turn around in the same sentence and say, I know a shit ton about nutrition. Best believe I do actually know a shit ton about nutrition, because I'm not just waffling. If I didn't actually know about it, you know, I would say. And I think, again, that's where like coaching is one of the few professions where people, the longer they go, the more insecure about asking for help they get. And like, I'll have coaches apologize for asking questions, or apologize for me stumping them with questions. Like whenever we do like an educational call, and I'm like, this is the point, this is my job, is to give you questions that you don't know how to answer. Because if a client confronts you with them, fuck. Like, but I don't care what questions you can answer. I care about what questions you can't answer, you know. And I love the simple ones as well. Like I had a client, I won't say who, because he probably won't want me to say. He set up like a whole specialization block for a certain body part for a client, sent it over, and was like, what else can I do? He was like, oh, what do you think about this? And I was like, this is great, but there's one thing you're missing to really focus on that body part for this person. They've racked their brain. They were like, let me get back to you tomorrow. Racked their brain, came back and was like, right, I can't think. What the fuck is it? I've upped frequency, I've upped volume, you know, intensity's all the way there. And I was like, form footage. Just get them to film it and send it over. Just hold them accountable to high quality sets. And they were like, fuck's sake, it's so obvious. And I was like, yeah, but like, these are the things that like can just go over your head as a coach. And having someone there to be like, yeah, congrats, you've got all the shit nailed down, but like also focus on this basic stuff, you know. And that again is like what coaching comes down to. Is some people say I want to grow more chest, and I'll say, okay, film your chest sets. Some people say grow more chest, and I'll be like, right, we're going to rewrite your split, we're going to tear it down, we're going to establish a whole new fucking deload to training paradigm, we're going to completely rewrite, like, do this movement assessment for me. How's your shoulder health? How are your scaps moving? Cool. Can we do a chest spot? Like, again, same question, but very different response based on the client. And you need to know which one to give to what client.
Yeah,
100%.
There's no template coaching around here. There should never be any template coaching. It's almost like it's a terrible fucking thing to do, and you need to learn to be adaptable. I think that's the biggest thing ever. You just need to learn how to be adaptable, and it's not a hard skill. Well, it's a skill to learn, but that just comes from knowledge, right? You're not funny enough. If you don't know a lot, you're not going to be able to apply that to too many people, because you don't have the knowledge to do that. Like, you can't apply male coaching stuff to female coaching stuff. Obviously, there's some similarities, but when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to, I don't know, just the cycle that they go through, you know, the stuff like that. That's why I don't really like these people who I saw this coach the other day. I'm not gonna name names, but they were kind of talking, and I was talking to him, and then they were talking about clients. They were like, oh, I use this kind of template, and they send it over, and I was like, but where's the differences between males and females? How are you tracking, you know, female cycles and stuff like that? You know, that's quite important. Are you asking these people, you know, actual specialized question? They were like, not really. I mean, I've got clients who work that it works for, and it's like, that's cool. But what if you get a client it doesn't work for? Like, what are you going to do then? You're kind of fucked, and then you have to kind of rebuild from step one. Why not just be adaptable from step one? Then yeah, you're fine. But yeah, anyway, that's good. I don't know. It's a big thing. I think that too many people get too caught in their ways. I mean, you heard Jack talk about this probably in about a couple of episodes, to be fair. But there's a lot of clients a lot of coaches that'll stay in their way. Obviously, I'm not an experienced coach, but I know not to be a bad coach. I can't just stick in my ways. Like, going back to what you guys have said, I need to find my weak areas and work on them. I mean, I knew when I came to the academy, nutrition was my weak point. You know, I knew how to train decently, but nutrition was definitely my weak point. And now through the work of the academy, no, but like nutrition is definitely, but I'm very, very confident in nutrition now. Like, I know a lot about it, and that's definitely applied to my coaching. Like, the amount of like the transformation I've got, I can confidently say a lot of them are due to nutrition, funny enough. But you know, and obviously due to the clients, I can only give them so much. It's their work ethic that does it at the end of the day. That also pisses me off when people don't talk about the client's work ethic in transformations. Like when they go, oh yeah, this is all my doing, guys. It's like, yeah, you gave them the necessary part. You've made it easy for them, but some people technically easy, but some people obviously need to do that. Well, everyone needs to actually carry out the plan. That's a lot harder than people think. But making it easy is the best thing you can do. So, yeah.
I think there's a certain element of, like, your client could have probably done the transformation regardless without you, but they probably did it a little bit quicker with you in their corner. It's the same thing with injuries. A lot of people that come into clinic, they will get better by themselves, but we just make it a little bit quicker. Or, you know, sometimes they might have like one tiny little thing holding them back, and they might have one session and then they could get better by themselves. It's like you got a little fork in the road. As soon as you get rid of that fork in the road, they could do the entire thing by themselves. Your job as a coach is to problem solve. Whenever a fork does come in the road, you give them a solution. You can take the red pill, you can take the blue pill. But yeah, I completely agree with what you have to say. It's like, it pisses me off when coaches will take the credit for their client's work, because, like, at the end of the day, it's the client that's put the work in, it's not you. And also, like, coaches will, what am I trying to say? My brain's gone dead. Oh fuck! Oh, my brain's gone dead.
No. What you're trying to say is,
Oh
like,
my God.
they put the work in, but obviously you've put in hours and hours of help with that. Like, you've worked with them for hours and hours. You've done countless hours of form feedback and stuff like that. You've set it up for them, but, like, not only have you made it faster for them, you've also taught them the necessary skills for longevity, right? You've taught them, how to keep going. And, there will be a time where clients graduate the process. Like, Jack, you've been in this business for a long time. There are clients who graduate the process. You've taught them the necessary skills to do that. Would they have done that without you? No, they probably will be they'll probably be hopping from coach to coach, or like hopping from website to website trying to find stuff. There is a reason why coaches have coaches as well. Like, the stuff, it just makes it frees up time, right? Even just talking about from a time management perspective, the amount of time it would take me to make a split and do everything myself, it would be okay. But added, if I was a single mum with 5 children, I wouldn't be able to do that. That's why it's so beneficial to have coaches. And if I'm Jack, who has, however many clients, unspecified amount of clients, and I'm making millions of pounds, because, like, he is, obviously, with his 5 Lambos, it would just not. Sorry, I just thought back of the fucking photo. I like how we were talking about Lambos. I've just thought back of the photo you sent in the group chat with your car and you're hugging it. When you finally got it clean. Sorry, that's such a throwback. Sorry, it's so funny.
The Lamborghini.
The Lamborghini. No, it was a Lamborghini. It was actually a Lamborghini, and then in the background was his private jet, and then with all his clients on there, and he was taking them to Hawaii. That's what's happening.
Academy started a GoFundMe page so that Jack can clean his Lamborghini.
No, it was all off the earnings of Jack and Luke's OnlyFans, wasn't it?
That's where the real money is.
Is that before I got the mind back, was like, the coach will get angry that the client's not getting the result that they want out of them because the client's not motivated or don't have the drive. And it's like that victim mentality, it's like, oh, it's not me, it's the client. Like, that's not going to get you anywhere, is it? Like, stop being a bitch. I'm sorry.
If your coaching business is struggling and you're not getting client results, you are the business, you are the coach. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, realistically, if you're a good coach, you should only need one client and time. If you're very, very good, that one client will stay for a long time and they'll get fantastic results. And they will say to their mates, hey, go and try my coach. He's fucking mint. If you're not getting referrals, if your clients aren't getting results, if they're missing check-ins, if they're slacking off, it's you. It's just you. That is your job. Someone is paying you money to do a job. People are like, oh, they don't care enough. But they're literally paying you. Like, someone has turned around and said, say if it's a diet phase, someone has looked at their body and said, I will pay to change how this looks. And then you've said, no, they just don't want it. Yes, they fucking do. They're paying to change something. There are very few things where you pay someone to give you a process to follow that you're not engaged in. Like, you're literally saying, hey, teach me how to do something that I don't really want to do, but I want the end result of it. And again, like coaches will just blame their clients about, oh, my clients just don't want it bad enough.
That
and like,
pisses me off so much. Sorry.
biggest red flag, brother. Biggest red flag. I've never had a client who didn't want it bad enough. Funny that. I've never had that.
Actually, Jack, I don't want it bad enough. I just want
That's
to bring it
weird.
Neither
out.
do I, to be honest. Every time I wake up, I'm like, fuck's sake.
Well, to be fair, a good point is though, like it does depend on what that client is. Like not all of my clients have probably at least most of them have at one point dieted, right? Not all of them have prepped because not all of them want to prep, but not all of them pay me to prep them. You know, their idea of dieting is different to others. But if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, let's do this thing," then we're gonna fucking do that thing. Like, you know, that's what my job is. And if they're struggling to do the thing, my first question is, right, what can I do to do this thing for them? Because it's literally my job. It's insane. It's the same as I use the mechanic analogy all the time. It's like someone goes to you and they're like, "Hey, I'm fat and I eat like a fat person. I'm trying to not be fat." And the coach goes, "I'm angry because you eat like a fat person." It's literally like a mechanic being like, "Oh, fucking, I'm pissed off because you brought me a broken car and your car's broken." It's like, this is your job, man. This is what you do. Like, I just don't get what coach are expecting. I'm expecting someone with a ton of money who's completely hands off to come and say, "Hey, I've lived my whole life fat. I'm going to stop doing that immediately by completely dropping everything that I've done and listening to your input." And it's like, it's just not going to happen, man. Like, it's just not going to happen. And those coaches who want more serious clients, I'm just after more serious clients, bro. It's just lifestyle clients. They're too casual. More serious clients. How the fuck are you going to go and say, "I can prep you," when you can't make someone who's 30 stone lose 1? Like, if you can't take someone through a diet phase, if you can't take a normal person to an end phase, and like, you know, if you can't give a normal person results, how the fuck are you going to build a muscle on a crazy scale or get someone peeled? Because people don't realize, like, dealing with more advanced people, your job isn't actually easier. Funny that, like, just because someone comes to you and says, "I want to do a prep," doesn't mean they're just going to head down and just have no issues at all and just prep. Like, preps are not smooth. They have issues all the time. Same for, like, if someone's like, "Hey, I want to grow a shit ton of muscle," that's going to be a difficult growth phase. There's going to be a lot of food. There's going to be a lot of training. There's going to be a lot of lethargy there. And people will struggle with that. Like, if you're putting someone's body, like, who's more serious, through something crazy, there's a lot of tax that comes with that. And people aren't necessarily just going to be like, "Yeah, cool. Like, that shit's hard." Anyway, ramble over.
Yeah, no, the thing you're saying right there is what I literally, the first thing I say to clients on the setups is, this is not a dictatorship. I'm not just telling you what to do and expecting you to do it. It's a partnership. I always say it's not a dictatorship. It's a partnership, right? You have a lot of input. How am I expected to, you know, manage your life in a sense when I don't get any input from you? And like, not saying it's their fault for not communicating it, but like, if I'm just going to give you the same plan, like I'm going to give everyone else the same plan, it is absolutely preposterous. I have not said that word in 6 years. But like, yeah, it's really, really bad. The amount of like bullshit there really is when it comes to stuff like this. Like, what was I going to say? Like, you really need the more that what you were saying earlier, the more data you can get from a client and the more, you know, context you can get around the situation, the more you can like help motivate the client and stuff like that. Like when I was talking about, you know, it's all the clients I wasn't saying it was all the clients, you know, work. It's obviously like, if say it was a client, if I got client result, it's obviously my work as well. But at the end of the day, I've really helped them to, you know, to get to that bit. That's the whole point of coaching. It's the same thing as a mechanic. They've really helped you to, you know, fix your car, but also you need to display your skills with other clients for them to actually come to you. Like when I was talking to, I've got a client called Kat. I've got a couple of runners from her run club just because I've displayed my skills with Kat, displayed the transformation we can do. We've just done a running specialization block almost. We've just changed our split to prioritize hip flexors and hamstring strength to try and not have imbalances between the quad and the hamstring to try and prevent injury. And someone's come to me called Harriet. They've come to me and they've been like, "Well, I really like what you've done here. You know, can you do that for me?" And it's just actually showing that specialist knowledge. Fucking hell. specialist knowledge, it can really help. That's not even that in depth. It's just showing people that you can do that. Like Jack said, as soon as you get one client who you can do a really good job on, if someone's similar to that client and you're like Kat goes up to Harry and goes, you're pretty similar to me. Matt's really helped me here. He could probably help you. That's really good. And if you can do that throughout like 10 plus people, then 10 plus people are going out, and telling their friends, and then you've got a business going. But you don't need to be like, on social media all the time going, oh yeah, I'm sick. You should let your clients kind of speak for yourself. Obviously, it's great to do social media work. I'm not saying it's not great to do social media work, but if you're solely relying on social media work and not posting transformations, where is the evidence you're a good coach? Like where you can always say, I'm sure Jack will agree with it, and Camille, obviously. You can always say, I'm a sick coach. Where is the evidence? Transformations are your evidence. There is no, there is no course that you can go through to show you're an absolutely amazing coach. It's only really results, except from the academy and education and stuff like that, is what you can go through to show you've got that. There you go. I'm gonna say a link in bio. I don't know why I'm gonna say that. Link in bio, guys. No, but there is no course. This is why Jack's created it. Look, I'm doing all your marketing for you. Pay me already. But there is no course you can go through. It's only transformations and stuff like that. That is what you should be showing as a coach. And that's enough of me yapping, really. But yeah, that at the end of the day, results are key, and you need to show that you're a good coach. Funny enough. But yeah, I'll stop yapping.
Quickly before we wrap up this episode, because it's been a fucking meaty one. I think like a big part of transformations is like not just displaying what the transformation is in terms of the actual result that you got, but like actually talking about the difficulties that you had and how you handled them. It's not, oh yeah, I got Camille to lose 45 pounds. It's Camille lost 45 pounds. He really struggled with this in the cut. This is how he handled it. That's showing true value, because the majority of people could probably get a sick transformation by themselves. You as a coach goes back to the whole problem solving thing. You need to talk about some of the things they struggle with. For example, I did a transformation with my client. It's like, yeah, he lost 6 kilos or whatever, but he kept really getting injured, and it prevented him from getting into the gym. And it's like, okay, how did I tackle it? Okay, yeah, injury specialist, blah, 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 blah. But that's me demonstrating my capability as a coach by showing the pitchforks that he had in the road, basically, and how we tackled that. But yeah, apart from that, thank you everyone for listening to episode fuck knows what. It's been an absolute pleasure, Matt. Jack, any words of wisdom?
Measure twice, cut once.
Okay,
I'm going to think about that before I go to sleep.
I can't say. I don't know if we're allowed. Oh no, I'm not going to say that anyway. So, I was going to say, words of wisdom: skate fast, eat ass. And then I thought I was just going to end the call.
But if people want to inquire with you, Matty, if people want coaching, if they like the sound of your voice, where can they find you on Instagram? What's your name?
Matt.T_lifts. It's a very long-winded name.
Jesus Christ, we have to change that name.
We do need to change that name. That's actually, apologies, that's what my mum gave me at birth. My bad.
That's your first name.
that is my full name. Yeah,
Matt.
It's not ideal.
_lifts.
I might just put Mullet Matty. Yeah, I'm sure that's catchy. That'll work.
Mullet Matty works great. It's either one of those. If you're unsure, I don't know, look in like my tags pictures, he'll be in there somewhere, or my story, because currently Matty's looking sick, so we're getting a lot of story tags, which is sick as well. If you want to work with Camille for whatever reason, oh God have mercy on your soul. No, I'm kidding. It's Camille_Archer Academy. If you want to work with me, just don't. It's Jack_Archer Academy. Thanks everyone for listening. If you've got any questions for us, if you want to see Matt on the pod again, please feel free. And if you've got any questions about Matty or his coaching, just drop him a message. Cheers everyone. Bye.